things I was going to ask you yesterday, with all of the injuries that you have suffered, have you had to promote some people that maybe kind of were JV or scout team and move them up to fill in the gaps?
I don't think JV-wise, but, we've obviously had to move a ton of guys up. Like Mutan, and actually Jamal Daniels was a guy that actually was in the rotation.
Working on the scout team?
And was a guy that was in the rotation. Actually returned the first couple of kicks against Army, or the first kick. Mm-hmm. And so, it's the benefit of having, some depth, with the injuries that, some guys were able to play.
The two guys I didn't ask you about yesterday, Merchant and Sullivan, they were listed as questionable. Do you think they'll go?
They both look like they're probable,
Okay.
So we'll be back. Elijah was back a little bit, he had his head deal, concussion, but he's back. And, Hudson still got with his leg, but, they've been practicing. They look decent out there.
And just to be in a bowl game for, you had a chance to win fourth in a row, what does that kind of mean for the program and something that's never been done before?
Well, I had to read one of our players. I've been talking about trying to get number 10 and back-to-back 10-win seasons. And our, senior class had there. My coach, we got a chance to be the first team to win 4 straight bowl games.
Yeah.
That'd be monumental, and so with the ups and downs of this year, and, had some really good games, some bad games, to be able to finish like that would be great, especially for the senior class, because they're a class that, was in the shadows of last year's senior class, and they got a chance to surpass a lot of things that they've done, and so it would be nice for them.
Even with all the injuries and to the quarterbacks, you still have a chance to get all these offensive milestones, most points, just total offensive yards. What does that kind of say about the depth you have on this team and kind of the resilience you have from the guys behind?
Well, you have to, it's hard to keep some perspective on it because, you lose 2 tough games, you lose in a conference championship, you lose to your rival, and so sometimes you lose all of that. But, the way guys have stepped up, like you said, Gene, with all the injuries, it's part of sports. It just came at a tough time for us. It came at the worst time for us, but still to be able to accomplish those things, if we're fortunate, would be a great accomplishment for our team, especially against La Tech. They've scored a ton of points on everybody, but it'd be a great accomplishment.
Are you kind of glad to get back to a team like Louisiana Tech? I know obviously high scoring, but a spread team as opposed to, Temple and Army that were more running, grinded out kind of teams?
No. They scored. Like I said, they're having. Everybody's having a hard time stopping them.
Yeah.
And they almost beat Arkansas. They're a good football team.
Right.
And we're gonna have our hands full.
So they played Army a few years ago, and you saw Coach Holtz when he was with ECU, but that was like 10 years ago. So I'm guessing you probably don't really know how they're going to line up. How do you prepare for that?
It's exactly right. So what we've tried to do is, go back and look at that, try to look at guys in their staff, but their coordinator's pretty young, so we're not really sure. So we just practice against everything. Maybe try to do some of the things that Temple did, because this profession is a big copycat profession.
So you expect them to kind of see coming.
It's like Houston last year.
Right.
When Houston, then everyone's
lining up like
this year. Everybody in our league lined up like Houston did last year, and I don't know if they'll line up like that again next year. But maybe people think that what Temple did was good, so they might line up like that. So we always just guess. We have no clue. We just kind of get to the first play. It's like, oh, they're doing this, and we try to adjust from there.
So you're trying to get to 10 wins, obviously, so it's an important game. But as a silver lining, even though I'm sure you'd rather have everyone healthy for this game, but you got guys, particularly Zach, getting experience. For how valuable is it for him to get in there and get and play these games as preparation for next year?
It's like I was telling Wags yesterday. He got in the toughest. He's not going to be thrown into a tougher scenario than he did this year. And he started off rough, but I thought he bounced back well in the second half, and it can only help him. And now we're going into a bowl game, so his first 2 starts are against Army, our rival, and in a bowl game. I think you can't prepare for that. You have spring ball and camp and stuff, but you can't simulate that kind of pressure. So I think it's only going to help him because he's got all the physical tools he has. He's fast, he's strong, he can throw it. He just didn't have any experience, and this is going to really help him for our entire year next year.
Kind of piggybacking off what everyone's talking about, the injuries. Obviously, the season didn't end the way you wanted to, and then you had really 2 weeks to think about it. Was that, I guess, for lack of a better term, less than beneficial for you guys as opposed to just having a short-term memory, wake up and playing the next game the next week?
Well, actually, our guys had finals last week, so they really didn't. They went straight into finals. So last week was always a tough week, and then this week we came, start preparing for the bowl game. I think it worked out good for us, because we went straight into finals. You didn't have time to soak. You had to kind of move on, and then the next week we had to travel here to Dallas to get ready.
I'm doing something on Jameer Tillman. In the 27 years you've been at Navy, do you think that he's the best wide receiver you've seen?
He's the best wide receiver since I've been around this program. He's made plays. We don't throw the ball a ton, but when we throw the ball to him, he always makes plays. He's been a great leader both on and off the field, and we're truly going to miss that kid.
Yeah, I mean, some of the catches he's made are really spectacular. If you went back and looked at a highlight film, it would be probably pretty impressive, don't you think?
Yeah, all of his catches are dramatic catches. I mean, he's made some huge catches for us over the years. Clutch catches, game-winning catches, catches to help us, win the game. And so, like I said, we're going to miss this young man. Thank you, guys.
We'll get Mike in attack. They've got to be as good as an offense as you've seen all year.
Without a doubt, yeah. Tremendous quarterback, gigantic lineman, bunch of receivers that can run and catch the ball. Two really good running backs. They're as explosive as we've seen.
And, you mentioned the running backs. They run the ball. They're known as a passing offense, but they run the ball. They've got a guy at 1,000 yards. They can really.
They're very efficient running the ball. I mean, they, I think people get nervous about the pass and opens up the running game, and they're not afraid to use both. They do a tremendous job. I mean, offensively, they're a juggernaut.
So can you talk about what kind of challenges that they present? So usually when you see a team that throws for this many yards, has this high a completion percentage, you think, well, they're throwing short, but they can really throw downfield a lot too.
They can. He can make all the throws. I mean, he can throw the deep out. He throws the deep ball right on the money. So you pretty much got to cover the whole field and cover everybody, and then worry about the run too. So they're tremendous.
So when you look at who you've played this year, you're in the conference, you're seeing similar offenses, thrown all over the place. Then you come back, you're looking at Temple, they're running the ball, Army's running the ball. Then you have to come back and face a team like Louisiana Tech. Do you change your approach at all, or going back and forth like that?
Well, you try to emphasize things a little more. Maybe against Temple we emphasize fitting the run a little bit more, but there's only so many hours in the week, so. You've got to prepare because you don't really know what they're going to do. I mean, these guys can come in and run the ball 50 times, and I think nowadays if it's working, they're going to keep doing it. So, you have to take away something, and we've always tried to take away the run and then, work the pass, but it's getting to a point now where, you got to take away everything. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah. Well, just a little more specifically about them. They have these two very outstanding receivers. The Henderson guy is more of a deep threat. Taylor's kind of a possession guy, but having the two guys that are on the Bolitnikoff award list, that's pretty amazing to have two of them.
Yeah, they catch everything. I mean, number 5, Taylor, he's made some of the most spectacular catches I've seen on tape. He catches everything, and Henderson can get deep on you, but he'll also run other routes too. I mean, they're both phenomenal, and they're not the only ones. I mean, they get a lot of the catches, but they've got 3 or 4 other guys that can catch the ball. Number 3, I forget his name, the running back, he has 40-something catches.
Out of the backfield.
Yeah. So they're pretty dynamic. I mean, they throw it around, and the quarterback is tremendous at reading and knowing where to go with the ball. I mean, I've seen people bring 6 and they get 2 steps and the ball's away. So he's a very, very good quarterback.
So obviously the numbers-wise, it doesn't look like a great season for the defense. How do you kind of keep everybody's spirits up and let them know that we're doing the best we can? I mean, it's hard in this day and age to look at pure numbers anymore because it's crazy. It's nothing like 10 years ago. If you look at these numbers, you say, "Oh my God!" But this is the norm in college football. But your players, I mean, it's got to be a difficult thing to keep their spirits up and say, "Hey, this is what we deal with."
You just have to come back to work on Monday, and and Coach Niumatalolo stresses that. We come back, you got to forget the last one, move on to the next one. But it's hard to cover all the things they do. I mean, they pose some real problems for you. I mean, when you think you've got this play taken care of, they have something that comes off of it that goes against what you were trying to do to stop it. So they're it's a difficult task.
How hard has it been, the losses? Not only did you have heavy graduation losses, lost a lot of really good players, but then within the season, Daniel, Josiah, Merchant's been out for a long time now. How much has the injuries played a role in what's happened on
I think
defense.
the guys that have come in have stepped up, and I mean, you can't worry about that. You got to get the next guy ready. How well would the other guys have played? I mean, I don't know that. So you just got to move on, and hopefully the guys that are in there step up, and they're getting experience also, and so it is what it is. I mean, it's you can't worry about injuries. You can't blame things on injuries. You have to just move on and get ready for the next game. But yeah, it's offenses are interesting nowadays.
It kind of changes the definition of success, though, doesn't it? Because you're looking at, you're not shutting anyone down. No one's shutting anyone down. It's
Right.
really about making those one or two plays to get your team the ball back to kind of win a shootout, basically.
Right. Yeah, and the problem that we've had is a lot of things that have happened are a little bit self-inflicted. We need to get rid of those self-inflicted wounds. You know what I mean? That they're good enough as it is, but when you turn somebody loose or you don't go where you're supposed to go, and they take advantage of it every time. It's not like they didn't see him. The guys are too good nowadays. They see it and they throw it there. So, we need to get rid of some of those. We've had more than our share of those this year, and you can't be where you want to be if you're giving those up. Because again, they're good enough on their own. We don't need to help them out.
One of the eyeball stats of this year is the fact that I think it's 9 straight opponents have scored on their opening possession. Is it kind of similar to the option factor that when you first get out there and see these offenses, it's hard the first time around, it takes time to adjust, or what would you say?
I don't know. Maybe we don't have them ready to play defensively. I can't say that, but I know definitely we don't see every day in practice the kind of speed that we see during the games. But
Right.
But there's a point too, where most of these guys now have played in however many games that the speed should. Eventually, you should start catching up with it because the offenses are not that different.
Right, you know what you're going to see.
Yeah, exactly. So we a lot of times early on, the kids are they're fired up, they're excited, and a lot of times that's where our breakdowns come. And
Right.
And
They need to settle in.
they need to settle in, and they need to show up mentally focused and not hey, I'm ready to go, yay, screaming, yelling. They just got to play like they're going to play the rest of the game.
Right.
And some of that is young guys learning how to prepare themselves to play in a game. So, we need to get better at that. We can't give up a touchdown every first drive. You know what I mean? We can't, and we've done that a lot in the second half too. We come out and they drive the ball, and we don't get good field position. We've got to get people off the field. Bottom line. And again, they're good enough to move the ball on their own. Sometimes we help them, and we've got to stop doing that.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Coach.